The 1900s, a time of amazing progress and new inventions, was also marked by two terrible world wars, World War I and World War II. These wars, only 20 years apart, changed the world forever. They caused huge losses, changed governments, and left the world dealing with the effects of unchecked fighting. These weren't just small events in history books. They were massive events that changed the world map, shook the foundations of civilization, and left a permanent mark on everyone's minds. World War I, sometimes called the Great War, or the War to End All Wars, started in 1914. It shattered the delicate peace in Europe. It was a war caused by nationalism, imperialism, and a complicated web of alliances that pulled countries into a whirlwind of destruction. World War II, just a generation later, was a global disaster, much bigger and more brutal than World War I. Fueled by the rise of fascism, economic problems, and failed diplomacy, World War II engulfed the world in a fight for freedom and survival. The event that started World War I was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife, Sophie. This happened in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914. The assassin, Gavrilo Princip, a Serbian nationalist, started a chain reaction that led to war. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and gave them an ultimatum they knew Serbia couldn't accept. The assassination showed everyone the deep tensions and rivalries that had been brewing in European politics for years. A complicated web of alliances, meant to keep peace but actually making things worse, quickly turned a small conflict into a huge war. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and France, who were allied with Serbia. Great Britain, because of its treaty with Belgium, declared war on Germany after Germany invaded neutral Belgium to attack France. In just a few weeks, all the major European powers were at war, their armies getting millions of men ready for a war no one could have imagined. The world watched in disbelief as peace ended, and Europe, and the world, fell into darkness. World War I brought a new, awful kind of fighting trench warfare. On the Western Front, a 400-mile line of trenches stretched from the North Sea to Switzerland. Soldiers on both sides lived in terrible conditions, always afraid of enemy fire, disease, and the mental strain of fighting for so long. The trenches were a nightmare of mud, rats, and the smell of death. The Battle of the Somme, one of the bloodiest battles ever, showed how horrible trench warfare was. Started by the British and French in July 1916, the Somme offensive was meant to break the stalemate on the Western Front. But it quickly became a bloody mess, killing over 1 million soldiers on both sides for very little gain. New technology like machine guns, poison gas, and airplanes made World War I incredibly deadly. These weapons, meant to break the stalemate, just killed more people. Soldiers faced constant shelling and machine gun fire, suffering terribly. The mental toll of the war was also devastating. Many soldiers suffered from shell shock, what we now call PTSD. After 4 long years, an armistice was signed on November 11, 1918, stopping the fighting on the Western Front. The tired and grieving world celebrated the end of the war to end all wars. The Paris Peace Conference in 1919 aimed to make a lasting peace and redraw the map of Europe. But the Treaty of Versailles, the most important treaty that officially ended World War I, would cause future problems. The treaty, driven by revenge against Germany, forced Germany to pay a lot of money and give up land. The German people, struggling economically and humiliated, felt betrayed and angry at the Allies. The Treaty of Versailles, while trying to create a new world order, didn't fix the real causes of the war. Nationalism, economic rivalries, and arguments over land continued, creating a situation ripe for another conflict. The seeds of World War II were sown in the ashes of the First. Section 5. Seeds of Conflict, the Rise of Fascism, and the Path to World War II. The time between the wars, from 1919 to 1939, was very unstable. The Great Depression, starting in 1929, caused economic chaos worldwide. Millions lost their jobs, and people lost faith in democracy. This despair and uncertainty allowed extreme ideas like fascism and Nazism to grow. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party used the economic crisis and anger over the Treaty of Versailles to take power. Hitler, a charismatic and ruthless speaker, promised to make Germany great again, appealing to nationalism and promising economic recovery. The League of Nations, created after World War I to prevent future wars, failed to stop the growing threat of fascism. This made Hitler even bolder. Britain and France tried appeasement, hoping to avoid another war, but this only made Hitler stronger. Section 6. A World Ablaze: Key Battles and Events of World War II. World War II, a massive and brutal war, started on September 1, 1939, when Hitler's Germany invaded Poland. This broke the fragile peace, bringing Great Britain, France and their allies into a global war. The first part of the war saw many German victories. Using blitzkrieg, or lightning war, German forces quickly conquered much of Europe, taking over Poland, Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium and France very fast. The Battle of Britain, a major air battle fought over England in 1940, was a turning point. The Royal Air Force, though outnumbered, fought bravely against the German Luftwaffe, stopping Hitler from invading Britain. The war spread, bringing in more countries and becoming even bigger. In June 1941, Hitler broke his agreement with the Soviet Union and launched Operation Barbarossa, the biggest military invasion ever. Section 7. Triumph and Tragedy: Human Stories from the Second World War. World War II wasn't just about armies and ideas. It was a human story of unimaginable size, made up of countless stories of courage, resilience, sacrifice, and loss. From the beaches of Normandy to the jungles of the Pacific, from the skies over Europe to the Atlantic Ocean, ordinary people from all walks of life found themselves in extraordinary situations. Their lives changed forever by the war. These individual stories, often forgotten behind the big stories of battles, give us a powerful and personal view of the war. We remember the brave soldiers who landed at Normandy on D-Day, the sacrifices of the nurses and doctors in field hospitals, the resilience of civilians during bombing raids and occupation, and the spirit of those who resisted tyranny. The Holocaust, the systematic murder of 6 million Jews by the Nazis, reminds us of the worst of humanity. The stories of Holocaust survivors dealing with terrible loss and trauma show the strength of the human spirit and warn us about the dangers of hatred. Section 8. Echoes of War Lessons Learned and Enduring Relevance. World War I and World War II, two of the worst events ever, remind us how easily peace can be broken and how terrible unchecked aggression is. These wars, only 20 years apart, changed the world forever, shaping geopolitics, speeding up technology, and causing huge loss and trauma. What we learned from these wars is still important today. They teach us about the dangers of nationalism, the importance of working together, and the need to fight injustice and intolerance. The world, changed forever by the 20th century, must never forget the sacrifices made by those who fought for freedom and must work to build a future without war. The echoes of war remind us that peace isn't just something that happens. It's a choice, a constant process that needs careful attention, empathy, and a commitment to talking and understanding. By learning from the past and embracing tolerance, cooperation, and respect, we can hope to create a world without war.